Yeah, the stars shined yesterday, Daniel. What a monster week we saw in Week 14. So you guys know that I've been talking all season about how ridiculous it was that the NFL had 6 teams on a bye in Week 14. Of course, the final regular season week in most fantasy football leagues. That is the default setting on ESPN.com, and every league that all of us play on, other than the Scott Fish Bowl, ends in Week 14 for the regular season. Josh Allen and a handful of others were like, it's okay, guys, don't worry. We'll get you enough fantasy points that no matter if you have the entirety of your lineup besides us on bye, you're still going to find a way to win. And how about this? Josh Allen, just a monster performance, an epic, once-in-a-lifetime top performance from Josh Allen, who, of course, finishes as quarterback one, not just for the week, but for literally the last 73 years, if not more. Our data goes back to 1950. I guess that's 74 years, and we haven't found anybody that scored more than 51.88 points as Josh Allen got to yesterday. How about this? The first player ever with 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game. He threw for 342. He rushed for 82. This was not even vintage Josh Allen, because we've never seen this from him before. It was a masterclass. It was one of the highest level quarterbacking performances I have ever witnessed in my years of existence. And oh, by the way, he wasn't alone. It's on the same field on the other team. Puka Nacua was like, don't forget about me. Wide receiver one in the same game as quarterback one as Puka went off. Not just 12 catches on 14 targets for 162 yards and a touchdown. Hit 5 rushing attempts, turned those into 16 yards and a touchdown as well. So nearly 42 points for Puka Nacua. This guy was incredible. If you think ahead to next year, how many players off the cuff are you taking ahead of Puka Nacua in your redraft leagues?
Very few.
Very few. He might be a top 5 pick next year, especially with guys like Christian McCaffrey, who are going to be interesting topics of conversation this offseason because of the injuries this year. Sam Darnold, he was like, I thought everybody was talking about Kirk Cousins coming back to Minnesota
the other side
today.
of that.
No. We may have upgraded here in Minnesota. Is Sam Darnold had nearly as many touchdown passes as incompletions. He had 5 touchdown passes. He had 6 incompletions. 34.58 fantasy points. Again, he's quarterback 2, but nearly 17 to Josh Allen. But
That's
still,
unreal.
An amazing day for Sam Darnold. And his 2 teammates stood to benefit from it. I know I got a lot, but there's a lot to cover here. 12 targets, 8 catches, 133 yards, 3 touchdowns for Jordan Addison. He was wide receiver 2. He showed up Justin Jefferson, who was like, I'm still the best wide receiver alive. I haven't scored a touchdown since like week 6. And how did I do? 7 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. These guys each had over 32 fantasy points. I got to catch my breath here for a second to tell you about Zach Charbonnet, who had 22 carries for 134 yards, plus 2 touchdowns to go along with 7 catches for 59 yards. Check this out. There's a lot of names right there. There were 5 players yesterday, 5, with at least 34.58 fantasy points. Coming into Week 14, there had just been 15 total instances of 34.58 fantasy points or more this season. We saw 5 on Sunday. The stars shined incredibly bright, and truthfully, I feel like the only guy, and even this was a player that probably was in most lineups. It's not like this was some random Marquez Valdez-Scantling 34.58 performance, right? All of these guys we had is darn close to lineup blocks, especially with the injury to Kenneth Walker III. For Zach Charbonnet, a monster day on the fantasy efforts.
You know what I would love to look back on after this season? I know.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
Man, this
Get
is
some
why
water.
I jump in. Yeah, exactly. Refuel.
Yeah, geez.
Is how many teams that were already winning, like teams that were going in their fantasy playoffs, had these guys versus teams who may have picked somebody up along the way where it was a difference maker that got them into the playoffs. I would love to find that out because everybody enjoys it. But just think if you were someone who was on a bubble or you really needed this week and you were worried because you had players out and you get a performance like that from someone like a Zach Charbonnet, who probably would be the most likely to be on somebody's team that didn't draft him earlier this season, or maybe Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And it might have made the difference for you to get into your fantasy playoffs. Would love to be able to find that out.
It's been unbelievable. I just want to
say like a quick humble brag. I had Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua all in one lineup. And just two of those guys, just having Josh Allen and Puka outscored 4 different teams in the league.
Is that right?
That week. Like just
insane.
those two guys. So it's been unreal being able to see how big these
My
performances
Scott
were.
Fishbowl heart loves Josh Allen to the moon
in
and
a
back.
huge
let me
way.
tell
I want
you.
to know, there's got to be some quirky scoring out there. Like, send me a screenshot of the highest score from Josh Allen. Like 51.88 is
Yeah,
ESPN's
I think I have
default setting.
55 in Scott Fish. It's
Yeah,
something
and
that
then
a little more.
if you have a 6-point passing touchdown,
Right.
you got the 57.88. But if there's some league where it's like you get points for 40-plus passing yard touchdowns and 300-plus passing yard games and things of that nature, send them our way. Because I bet
love to
there's a
see
league where Josh Allen got you like 75 fantasy points. I'm not really the biggest fan of doing the week by week who's the MVP. And I know the Bills lost yesterday, but Josh Allen, just a remarkable talent. Such a joy to watch him right now.
Yeah.